it is, you know, always trying to get that look. You know, Tarolynn, she also Scorpio, you know, so y'all always trying to get that little extra edge wherever you can, you know.
Absolutely.
All right, so can you see my screen, Mehmet?
It says you've started screen sharing, but I can't. Oh, yep, I can see it now.
All right. Let me see if I remember how to. Used to remember how to. That's it. Okay, I made it a little bit bigger. Okay, that was it. All right. There we go. All right. So, and what I would do is I'll even do one better and do it F11. There you go. All right. Wonderful. All right. So here's your chart. So obviously, right off the bat, okay. The first thing your eye goes to, the most distracting thing about your chart is this major opposition we have going on with the moon, first and foremost.
Yeah.
And, you know, we see this here with the long red lines, okay? So we see that both Saturn and the sun are opposing the moon, all right? Yeah. Interestingly enough, your moon is actually the exact place my sun is, 18 degrees Taurus. Isn't that interesting?
Wow.
Which makes sense because you are a Scorpio. So you know we would always be on opposite sides of the chart because you're right here and I'm right here. Yeah. But so that's first predominant. Okay, is the moon is here. So let me kind of give you how I teach my I'm about to call them my kids, but they pretty much are my god kids. My students. Let me give you. I've been working on a template they can use when they're giving astrological readings. So it'll all be succinct and it'll all be uniform. So let me pull that up right quick, and then we'll go into it. It's in my Google Docs here, and then we'll go into terms and dignities in just a moment. All right. Trying to figure which document it is. Very interesting that you're that also something else I noticed here is you've got your ascendant at 0 degrees. Did you never notice that, Mehmet?
I actually didn't. I have, but I've not paid much attention to it.
So there are a couple of things that are to be itemized in the chart, just from giving it a good look over. First and foremost, dealing with the cosmocrators, and by that I mean the 7 traditional planets. You really want to keep an eye out for which of the 7 is at the most advanced degree. And in this case, it is your sun, which is at 26 degrees. You got Saturn at 9, Mercury at 8, Jupiter is moving up at about 16. Mars, again, is right there on
Neptune's 27.
What's that?
Neptune in Sagittarius is at 27.
I'm talking about the cosmocrators.
Oh, yeah, you said the 7 planets. Sorry, brother. My bad.
So that would be the sun. Venus over here is at 11. Mars right there is at 0 degree. Another key point you want to look at. All right, these 0 degrees are very ominous degrees. Okay, very ominous degrees. 0 and 29 degrees are very ominous degrees. And then the moon over here at 11. So this is going to show a very strong energy coming from the sun, right? He's going to have extra weight because he has the highest degree. Think of him as being like the oldest, right? He's 26. You know, he calls the shots. But of course, as we know, Ptolemy has another. I'm using the Vedic system for that particular thing. I learned that from a Vedic astrologer. But we have our own over here in the West with Ptolemy, right? And the finding what he calls the Lord of the chart. All right. Now, there are a couple of ideas about the Lord of the chart or the ruling planet of the chart. The very simplistic answer is that the Lord of the chart would be the Lord of the first house. Of course, Lord is simply just another term for ruler. Many times when they write it in Latin, they come out either Lord, ruler, etc. So in this case, if we follow that logic, that the ruler of the chart is the ruler of the first house, we look at the ascendant, which is the first house. Here it is Leo. And what planet rules Leo? The sun. So again, we see another emphasis that the sun is going to carry a predominance of weight in the chart, meaning that when we're looking for significators, the sun is going to be the number one culprit, right? Whatever happens to the sun is going to have an overarching effect on the whole chart.
Yeah.
All right.
Also, just to point out, sorry to interrupt you, brother, as well as having a Leo ascendant, the sun is actually in the 5th house as well.
Which is exactly. Okay, which is what we call its joy, right? Very good point to be made there. All right, so this is I pulled up the little template here I'm working on. And again, this is by no stretch of the imagination complete, but something I just want to look at.
Yeah.
One thing we look at is quadrants. All right. So they actually say, Doc, well, how can I just take a glance at it and know stuff? They like to do that. They say, I just want to know stuff, Doc. How do I do that? And here's a little trick that I use. It's about quadrants. And we divide the heavens into 4 parts.
Yep.
So we have the 4 pillars here, which are the ascendant, the MC or the medium coeli or the midheaven. All right. In other words, this would be the sun at the highest point that day.
That's noon, isn't it? 12 o'clock.
Roughly, normally it's around about noon. Sometimes it can be a little bit off. It's not always noon. It's the sun at the highest point of the day. Normally it's about noon. And then here we have the descendant, and then we have the imum coeli, or the if you think about it as a clock, we've got dawn.
That would be the midnight point, wouldn't it?
That'll be the midnight point, yeah. So you've got dawn, sunrise, midday, noon, dusk, sunset, and about midnight. Okay. Let me pull up this other piece here. Here we go. I always get this this link mixed up. So in this case, using this quadrant system as kind of a quick read, if you will, we're looking for stelliums, right? The clustering of planets together. All right, and we want to see in what quadrant has the most planets, the majority of them. And the beautiful thing about following after the cosmocrators, or the 7 planets, is that it's 7, so it's an odd number. Yeah. So they're going to be predominant somewhere in the chart. You're not going to be able to have it, it equally spread out. Okay. I'm looking for a file. Just bear with me for a second, class. This was somewhat spare of the moment, but I'm all for it. This isn't it either. Oh no, that is it. That is it. All right. In chart interpretations, all right, we're going to talk about Eastern and Western hemispheres. Again, I'm talking about quadrants. All right. This concerns whether the chart. You may say, well, why is that significant, Doc? because it's going to indicate whether the majority of the planets are rising or setting. Okay? Remember, this is the horizon.
Yep.
All right? And so the planets follow their king, the sun. So they rise in the east just as he does, and they set in the west just as he does. All right? So right off the bat, we know that you have a nocturnal chart.
Yep.
You were born at night. How do we know that? Because the sun is under the horizon, right? This is the dusk or the sunset mark. Here is the sun. She's moving towards midnight. So if you think 6 to 8, 8 to 10, all right, we're looking at about, what time you say you were born?
8:30 p.m.
8:30 p.m. Well, y'all over here you're over there in the other time zone, so that don't count. I'm joking. But the reason why we look at quadrants is because they're going to show us if the planets are rising or setting. That does make a difference, okay? Number 2, these houses indicate the source of your motivation. The Eastern, all right, this would be the Eastern Hemisphere. All right, the Eastern Hemisphere is right here. Okay, and the Western Hemisphere, which would be right here. All right, in other words, to the right of the chart, to the left of the chart. Okay, so this is going to represent your source of your motivation, whether it is from within or whether it's from without. That is, whether you do things for their own sake of being done, or whether you do them for the sake of some type of external reward or approbation, right? Reward or risk. All right. The Eastern houses, which would be houses 1, 2, and 3, and houses 10, 11, and 12. Okay, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3. These 6 houses, this is always the case, always the case. All right, no matter what church you're looking at, houses 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, and 3 are the Eastern houses and represent the Eastern Hemisphere.
The AM side of the chart.
The AM side of the chart, yes. Yes, all right. You're absolutely right. This is midnight. This is about 6 o'clock. This is about noon. Absolutely right. The AM side, right? This is what it's called anti-meridian. All right, is what AM stands for. So remember, I said that the hemispheres indicate what? That went horribly. The hemispheres indicate the source of your motivation. All right. So the Eastern houses, or you call them the AM houses, houses 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, and the third house, first, second, and third house, they are considered independent. These are your self-assertive, self-referring houses. These are intrinsically, not extrinsically motivated. In other words, this means simply that they do things because of their own motives, their own wants, not for external reward. These are people that will not be moved by punishment or reward. They're going to do it because they just want to get it done. Bribery is not going to have much of an effect on them. Flattery and so forth is not really, any of those external type of stimuli are not going to motivate them. If they're not motivated from within, it's not going to get done. All right. they want to feel they are free to do what they want, and that, here's a very key point, they are masters of their destiny. There's a saying that it matters not how straight the gate, how charged with punishment the scroll. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. This part of the chart indicates those self-mastered people, those self-determined people. Their motivation, I mentioned to you that we look at this system or this way of reading to itemize the source of a person's motivation. So if the majority of their planets are in the 10th, 11th, 12th, 1st, 2nd, or 3rd house, their motive is self-satisfaction. Period, point blank, end of discussion. Their motivation is self-satisfaction. You can't bribe them. You can't punish them out of it. You can't reward them out of it. It is what it is. Now, conversely, okay, I said that these eastern houses are the independent houses, the self-assertive houses, the self-referring houses, all right? Now, contrary-wise, the western houses, all right, which would be the 4th, the 5th, the 6th, the 7th, the 8th, and the 9th houses, houses 4 to 9, are considered to be the cooperative, the dependent, the other referring houses. They are extrinsically motivated. In other words, they do things because of others or because of external rewards. We see here, Mehmet, that because the majority of your planets, all right, 5 of the 7, Venus, Saturn, Sun, Mercury, Jupiter, are in these so-called Western houses, and therefore you are extrinsically motivated. You do things. What motivates you are other people. It's an external goading, right? They are what is known as, what I want to say, they are dependent on fate. So as you know, I also teach magical sciences, right? And one thing that Mehmet, you still there? Am I talking to?
Yeah, I'm here, brother. I'm listening.
All right. You know, I'm from the Pentecost. You gotta talk back to me. You know, I make sure people still awake. You know. I also teach magical sciences, occult sciences, and so one of the things that I itemize to them is whether a person should use magic for this, or will the thing self-correct. All right. There are some people who are more tailored, or I should say, are better candidates for magic. All right. And I'm going to tell you why. It is because outside of magic, outside of some type of occult intervention, they will be left at the whims of fate. These such people are those that have stelliums in the Western houses. Now think of it. If the ascendant represents you, right, the house of self, as it were.
Yep.
All right. Then that means that the planets closest to that part of the chart are going to empower self. They're going to be self-motivated. They're going to be intrinsic. They're going to have just the willpower and just the sheer force to bend their reality or break it if need be into the shape they want it. There are people who can do that. There are people who, against all odds, they just have that dogged determination. It's going to get done because I say it's going to get done. I don't care what you, or certainly you got to say about it. But then there are others. So if you think of it that way, all right, where that's where the planets are. Then think of it again. If we think about the ascendant being you, the sense of self, all right. The planets closest to that point are, as it were, pushing you. Okay, you've got the planets pushing you.
So in my chart, would that be Mars or would that be the moon?
Well, I'm getting there.
Yeah, sorry, brother.
Okay. They would be pushing you or building momentum behind you. But if the majority of them are on the opposite of the ascendant, the descendant, what do you think they're doing there? If on the ascendant they're pushing you, what do you think they're doing to you on the descendant?
Pulling you.
They're pulling you. They're pulling you. And that's why many people that have these stelliums, again, the closer it is to the descendant, the more stark it is in their life. They feel pulled along by life. So oftentimes they've learned to adopt and adapt a go with the flow model of life. It just works out better for them that way. Don't go upstream. Just ease and flow into it. Where where it goes up must come down. Where it goes down must come up. Where it goes around comes around. Just kind of ease into it. Relax into it. Don't stress over it. It'll work its way out. Because here the planets are pulling.
Yep. I definitely agree with the go with the flow thing. Spot on.
All right. So if this gets even, now mind you, I haven't gone into a sign the first. I ain't looked at no aspect. I ain't looked to see anybody in detriment. I'm just looking at the black arrows. I'm just
looking at a quick overview, isn't it?
Huh?
This is what you're doing now is like a quick overview.
A very quick overview. And I do this to show my class how to just quickly just itemize things from the chart. I tell them, don't try to get ahead of yourself. Start where you are, meet yourself where you are. What you may say, well, Doc, I don't know about terms and dignities and this sign rules that and whatever the case may be. Fine. What do you know? What can you look at? Can you find the four black arrows? Yes. All right. Can you see quadrants? Yes. All right. Let's work there. Do you know your right hand from your left hand? Yes. Do you know top from bottom? Yes. Good enough for me. Just read some charts. If you can discern top from bottom and left from right, you already ahead of most people. All right. So their motivation is external approval and external reward. These Western Hemisphere people. All right, now let's look in the quadrants, even more specifically. Tarolynn, you all right? I think we lost Tarolynn. She went to go pay tithe. She ain't paying the number.
No, I'm fine. I'm looking. I looked up my chart, so I'm trying to follow my chart while you're doing his chart.
All right. Are you able to follow along with that? Let me know if I'm getting.
No, you're doing good.
All right.
Hi, sister. By the way, nice to meet you.
Same here. Thanks for letting me in on this.
Yeah, it's all good.
Yeah, me and man go. Man, remember we were friends for 3-4 years now.
Yeah, man.
It's been a long time.
Nice.
Quadrant. All right. So, all right, we've got hemispheres. We've got the upper hemispheres and the lower hemispheres. And then we've got or I should say, we put it like this. We've got the northern, okay, let me back up. vertical hemispheres, okay, which would be north, all right, and actually it's the reverse. Actually, this actually tends to be north, okay. If the truth were to be told, this would be east, that would be west, this would be north, that would be south. So northern hemispheres, and then the southern hemisphere. That confuses some people because we're in the western hemisphere.
Yeah, I understand. It's because this is inverse from the outside. Right. That's why.
Exactly. Exactly. Most people think they think north and think up, but this is actually the southern hemisphere. All right. So there's a southern hemisphere. There is a northern hemisphere. There's a eastern hemisphere, and there's a western hemisphere. You follow? Those are the 4 quadrants. All right. So we mentioned how by looking at the eastern and western hemisphere, tell us what? The source of what? Motivation. Right?
Cool, man.
But let's look at the northern and the southern hemispheres. Now, these tell us about not motivation, but about the outlook. The outlook. All right.
Can I just quickly interject, brother?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you know what? You know now you've explained it with the northern and southern hemisphere, it makes total sense because obviously the sun would be in the northern hemisphere while I was born because the UK is in the northern hemisphere.
Yes, it is.
So, but I've never looked at a chart that way before. That's very
you know, when you sit and you think about it, it just makes perfect sense. You know, I mean, I was talking to somebody the other day, and they were like, "You're a witch doctor," and I'm like, "Well, yeah." And they try to be coy. Like, well, how's that going for you? I said, "You see the lights are on, ain't it?" And then they shut up. You know, I'm clap backers. I'm from the Apostolic Church. We don't play that kind of mess. And so we were talking, and this was, I was talking about, that was the devil. I said, astrology is not from the devil. I said, who do you think put the stars there to begin with?
Exactly.
Okay, it sure wasn't the devil. Devil didn't create no stars. Okay. All right. Good to see you, Justin.
Yeah, thank you. Can you hear me?
Oh yeah, we can hear you. You sound a little bit distant, but we can hear you.
Can you hear me better now?
That's about the same.
All right. I don't know.
But we can. But you know, you're clear. We can still hear you. You sound a little bit distant. That's all. All right. So looking at the northern and the southern hemisphere. Now, the northern hemisphere is from the ascendant, the Imam Coeli, which is as Mehmet said, the midnight point, to the descendant. All right, that is the northern hemisphere. Now, so from the ascendant to the descendant, following, clockwise, because okay. Actually, that would be what? That's kind of clockwise, isn't it? It'd be kind of clockwise. Yeah, because the clockwise is how the sun moves. The sun moves. Child, I don't even. Yeah, I ain't seen an analog clock in so long. I feel embarrassed. You look at your phone. He says, "Oh, it's 10:42." You know. So going counterclockwise. Okay, from the ascendant to the descendant is the northern hemisphere. All right, and from the descendant to the ascendant, the descendant to the ascendant, that is the southern hemisphere. Now, let's look at what they tell us. So in chart interpretation, this concerns whether the chart has the most planets above or below the horizon. Just to put it plain, does this chart have more planets above or below the horizon? What does your chart have, Mehmet?
Mine is below the horizon.
It's below the horizon. All right, you've got one planet, which is the moon, above the horizon, but most of them are below. They're in the they're in the northern hemisphere. All right, so the northern houses. Let me just put it very blatant because some people can't see this. Houses 1 to 6. The first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth houses are considered subjective. Subjective. In other words, they are the energy of the first through the sixth houses are directed inward, or they are introverted. All right. So when you see a predominance of planets in the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth houses, these represent these people are introverts.
Yeah.
Again, this is generalities, but by and large, you will find that they are introverts. All right. They are more home-oriented. All right. This indicates that these type of people consider internal resources and information. In other words, they hold in high esteem their own opinions. Their own opinions. All right. These kind of people, they need time alone to recharge. All right. Why is that? Think of it very plainly. This is the horizon. Everybody's sleeping. It's nighttime. It's nighttime. All the planets, if you think about those people, are in a state of rest. Right? They're introverted. Another way to look at it is look at we talk about the horizon. Let's talk about sea level. Can we talk sea level for a second? Look at the ascendant or the horizon as sea level.
Yep.
And there is a floating iceberg. So this is what you don't see, the underwater, undercover, in the depth, in the deep, in the abyss, in the darkness type stuff. And this is all of the above ground, quote unquote, above water type stuff in the southern hemisphere. All right. So again, to recap, the northern houses are houses 1 through 6. The first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth house are the northern houses. They represent the northern hemisphere. And so by exchange, the southern houses, houses 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. All right. The 7th to the 12th house are considered objective or outwardly looking or extroverted. Again, I'm talking about the amount of planets. If you have a majority of planets in the southern hemisphere or the southern houses, this indicates a person, especially if the sun is there, that is extroverted. They are more worldly in their outlook. All right. They consider external reasons, external information. And they are dependent upon the opinions of other people. All right. So how do they recharge? They recharge through socializing. See the difference there?
Yeah, it makes so much sense.
All right. Now, let's look at what this means for I want to look at 6 things here. Okay. Subjective people, independent people, dependent people. Then I want to look at objective people, ambitious people, and people of service. All right. So the subjective people with most planets below the horizon look within themselves to their personal experience to seek information and answers. These are contemplative people. All right. These are contemplative people.
Still there, brother?
Yeah, I'm still here. All right. They look within themselves. They look at their personal experience to find the answers to life, to find information. Now, of these subjective people, there are 2 kinds of subjective people. There are the independent subjective and the dependent subjective. I'm breaking down quadrants.
Yeah, I see where you're going, brother.
Oh yeah, I'm hitting it. I'm in there today. I had a good morning devotion this morning. I'm lit today. I got it. So of the subjective people, independent people, in other words, how do we see that, Doc? Remember, subjective people are those that have the preponderance of planets under the horizon. All right. Now, the subjective independent people are going to have the majority of that under horizon planets in the first 3 houses. All right, so let me just break it down again. So subjective people, majority of planets under the horizon. Independent subjective people have the majority of planets clustered in those first 3 houses, the first, second, and third house. All right. Those with most planets in the first 3 houses, houses 1, 2, and 3, are motivated through enjoying what they do for its own sake to be done. In other words, they have intrinsic motivation. They believe, they live that they are in control of their destiny. And don't get me wrong, they may enjoy rewards, they receive, thanks and money and accolades, what have you. But they do, but they do not do what they do for that reason. They enjoy it, but they are intrinsically motivated. It's nice when I get it, but I'm not going to stop because I don't. All right. In other words, they act from within. And this is very key. People that have the majority of planets in those first 3 houses, they act from within and may not do what is needed and wanted by others. It's very key. All right. So when you see planets clustered in the first 3 houses, it indicates a type of person that act from within and may not do what is needed and what is wanted by other people. So the measuring rod, the yardstick that they use to judge things is based within them and not based on the opinions of other people. They can care less. Let's make it even more plain. They can care less what you want and need. They're only going to do what you want and need because they also want and need that thing. And so you end up benefiting as a byproduct, not by priority. It's getting quiet in this church today. I mean, I can hear a mouse. Light offering today. It's gonna be a real light offering.
No, this is good
That's
stuff.
what you're picking on us with all the planets in the first house.
Ah!
I don't know what houses my planets are in exactly.
Well, we'll look at it in just a moment.
Figure that out. Let me see.
So they prefer to do things alone by themselves, and because of that, here's the kicker here. See, I'm gonna take my building fund offering for me to be able to make ends meet after this thing right here. Listen. These people are not good at delegating responsibility.
Okay.
That's not their forte. All right. Now, so we talked about subjective independent people, right? That's below the horizon, first housing. Now look at subjective dependent people. All right, which Mehmet will fall in that category.
Yep.
All right. Because if we look at his chart here, the majority of planets fall under the, so we see he's a subjective person. All right, using the quadrant system here. So you got a planet up here that leaves 6 left. We've got a planet right here that leaves 5 left. So 5 out of the 7 major planets are in this quadrant of the subjective dependent people. All right. So subjective dependent people have most planets in these next 3 houses, this 4th, 5th, 6th house. All right. And so they are motivated by external reward. All right. And do what they do because of the reward they expect to get. All right. They believe they are pushed to do things. All right. Sometimes they're like, why just leave me the hell alone? I'm fine. You know, they feel they got to be pushed to do things and are subject to fate and luck. It was a good day. It's a really good day, but the bad day is a really, really bad day. All right. They are people who again need time alone to refresh themselves and to rely on their own experience to judge things.
I mean,
I hear what you said. That's nice for you, but I don't know nothing about that.
in the middle of something. That's all right. It's all right. Sorry, carry on, brother. Go on. Someone was just knocking on my door.
So these people are like, you know, that's nice that happened to you. Beautiful. But it happened to me. I don't know about it. You know, they need to use their own experience to judge things. All right. So one way for these type of people, all right. So a lot of times, you know, they are seen as being very, very passive people. All right. Or they were called, or people that they'll think they're unmotivated, or etc. It's not that. We have to stop saying that people are unmotivated. Everyone has a motivation, whether it's yours or not. Just that what motivates them is different, whether it is internal or external. Okay. There are some people who do what they work that job because they said they were going to work that job. That job ain't doing diddly or squat for them. But because they said they're going to do it, they're going to do it. And there are those that say, you know what? I hate this job, but you know what? It keeps them bills paid. They are externally motivated. It's those kind of people that, you know, they ain't got but a piece of a job. But if you promote them, it's the best thing to slice bread. And now they ain't got no raise in pay now. They just got a, you know, they got a different title, you know. But that they need that to be validated, vindicated, to be sponsored, to be endorsed. All right, that nourishes them. That is what motivates them. And we have to get out of the idea that that's either good or bad. It's stupid. It's absolutely stupid. Because that's how doors work. I'm going there today. Some doors say push, and some doors say what?
Pull.
Pull. And y'all ain't over here giving them the door no judgment call because the door say push. Some of y'all should be trying to pull the door. The door clearly say push, P-U-S-H. Y'all be trying to pull the door. What about, man, this door is broke. What the door won't move? God almighty. Just lean forward. So some people, all right, they can pull on things, and so they need to be pushed. All right. Now let's look at the objective people. These are those born with the majority of planets above the horizon. All right. Objective people, again, there are two types. All right. They are the ambitious and the servant. All right. So objective people are those born with most of their planets above the horizon. They look to others, to external sources, to seek information, to seek out answers, right? So different from the subjective people, all right, they need time with people to charge their battery. All right, socializing charges them, it refreshes them. All right, objective people with most of their planets in houses 7, 8, and 9 are motivated by external rewards. We call those people ambitious. They have the majority of their planets in houses 7, 8, 9. These are ambitious people. We call them ambitious. They're in the ambitious houses. All right. They pay very close attention to other people, and they base their judgments upon the opinions of others. Or I should say, they at least take their opinions into account. So a lot of times you'll find that leaders in this area are very diplomatic. All right. They always want to have a vote. They all like to say, well, what do y'all think? Who do men say? Let me stop. So moving on. So there's another, all right. These are the servants, all right. Objective people with most of their planets in houses 10, 11, and 12, 10, 11, and 12 are motivated by internal processes and not external rewards. And normally they've seen themselves as what we call public servants. They provide a service.
I missed some of that. You went out. Was it? You said public servants?
I said, no, yeah, many times they are public servants. They provide a service. Y'all want to go a little bit deeper?
Mm-hmm.
Tarolynn, you all right?
What was that, brother?
I was asking Tarolynn if she needed me to hit on something specific. I don't think so. I think she's good. All right. So what we have here, so in Mehmet's chart, but the majority of planets here in houses 4, 5, and 6. All right. This shows a subjective dependent person. All right. Remember, how am I doing so far? You agree with my assessment so far?
Pretty much, yeah. Spot on.
Okay.
And also, when you're talking about the other quadrants, I'm thinking of other people's charts which have planets in that part, and it makes so much sense.
All right. So, Tarolynn,
Yes.
you all right?
Yes, sir.
Am I doing all right?
You're doing great.
Okay.
I'm going to be calling you for one of these for myself.
Okay. All right. All right.
This is
all right.
good, though, because it does clarify some of your strengths and weaknesses. You can see them more. Yeah.
And again, like I said, we're not going into what sign is what and what planet doing what, and we're just looking like I said, top, bottom, left, and right.
Right, right.
This is a general thing.
Very simple. Isn't it amazing how you can look at so simple and get such depth out of just the simplicity of it?
That's true.
That's how dense this science of astrology is. Even the simple things have a level of depth to them. So y'all want to go a little bit deeper?
All right.
Yeah,
go for it, brother.
Yeah.
So let's look at what is called the angular, succedent, and the cadent houses.
Yeah.
Angular, succedent, and cadent houses. All right. Now, we use the words for the signs, we use the words cardinal, fixed, and mutable to describe the zodiacal signs. We use the words angular, succedent, and cadent to refer to the houses.
Okay.
All right. So the sequence of angular, Somebody stop me?
No.
Okay. The sequence of angular, succedent, and cadent is like this. The being appears in the world or does something. That's angular. All right. And as a result, they bring together many things. All right. That's succedent. Finally, they are lost, given away, or go away. That's cadent. And this keeps going on in cycles. All right. Another way of saying this is we begin something, all right, and which is angular. As a result, as a consequence, we acquire things, we acquire abilities, that is things of value. And then, which is succeedent. And then finally, we reflect on what we have acquired or learned and use this to determine what we will do next and how we'll do it. And the cycle begins again. All right. Angular, succeedent, and cadent houses. So the word angular The word angular refers to the main angles, or if you Old English in King James, the pillars of the chart. All right. It refers to the first, the fourth, the seventh, and the 10th house. All right. That's a pillar. That's an angle. All right. The ascendant, that's the first house. That's an angle. That's why it's so powerful in astrology. Here we have the Imam Coeli, the IC, right? Then the 4th house. That's angular. Here we have the descendant, always in the 7th house. All right. That's angular. Then we have the MC in the 10th house. That's angular. Y'all see that?
Yep.
All right. They form angles. All right. They form angles. So the key word for the angular houses is self. The self means, let me put it to you this way. Because like, oh, child, selfish. No, not selfish. Leave Pisces out of it. Leave Pisces alone. We talking about no kind of fish. The self as. Use that. There you go. Which we go. The self as. ... In contrast with selfish. Another key word is powerful. Powerful. In all forms of astrology, the angular houses hold the most power. Planets that are there are more powerful. When you make a talisman, you want the planet to be in an angular house.
Okay.
All right, they're more powerful because the angular houses tell us how we deal with reality, how we begin things. All right. What do I mean by that? Let's break that down. Let's go a little deeper. I'm laying this down line by line, my God, and precept by precept. The first house. The first house, the first angular house, house number 1, is the potential personal self. In other words, the body or the appearance. So for example, if let's just say Venus is in the first house, is sitting on the ascendant, that person tends to present themselves in a harmonious and a diplomatic manner. All right. So the first house is the potential personal self, the body, the appearance. It's the first house, the first angular house. The second angular house, or the 4th house, down here, it is family, or the self as family. Remember talking about that the angles talk about the self as. So here's the self as family. So if you think about the first house being the self as appearance or the self as body, the 4th house is the self as family. It means the self we have created, including the past, the genetics, the genes, the origins, the memory, self-development. All right. The 3rd angular house, or the 7th house, over here, this is the self in relation to others. It is interpersonal. It is my other half. Right? In other words, this is the self as others. And then the 4th angular house, or the 10th house, this is the public self. This is the self as the public. In other words, fame, notoriety. the self seen as seen by the public. So we have the first house, the self as body and appearance. The fourth house, the self as family. The seventh house, the self as seen by others. And then the 10th house, the self as seen by the public.
Brother, can you hear like a robotic like voice talking?
That's Justin. That's Justin in Jarvis.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Justin, you want to tell them what you're doing over there?
You want me to get some headphones? I'm sorry, I'm using.
No, that's cool, brother. I was just wondering what it was. It's not a problem at all.
I'm using speech software. I have a visual disability.
No problem, brother. Do your thing, man.
Speech software.
You don't have to mute. Not at all.
All right. That's him taking them copious notes. You know, Justin gonna take them notes now. All right. So that's it. So what are the other kinds of houses? We have angular and what else? Who remembers?
Succedent and cadent.
Right. Succedent or succeedent and cadent. So succeedent houses. Succeedent. Succedent. What does that sound like?
Succeed from.
Succeed. Right. Succedent or succeed. You know that if you British, you say succedent. You know. You from London, you know. But if you hear from the States, we say succeeded. Okay. All right. Succeeded means following or succeeding. Literally, to succeed, when you get into etymology, means to follow. Hey. In other words, to attain success. That's a preach by itself. I can't get into that right now. That's a whole preach. To succeed means, don't mean you got it, it means you're following it. I'm going there. Let me play that. I'm talking about astrology. I'm about to go on a whole other. I'm about to walk that line. All right. So the succeeding houses are the 2nd, the 5th, the 8th, and the 11th. They follow the angular houses. All right. So the key word for succeeding houses is collection. Things are grouped together. A collection can mean, as you know, or as I know, raising money. You know, they're taking that collection, child. They want it, you know. It means gathering things together. When done for protection, it means security. Another key word for succeeding houses. All right. A direct consequence of collecting things. Here's another key word for you. Organization. All right. We need to organize. Here's another key word for you. This implies, ding, 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 management of what we have. And just for good measure, let me throw another keyword in there. The development, that's another word, of our resources. All right. And all of this, the security, the organization, the management, the development, all of this leads to, here's another word for you, pleasure. If you can enjoy what you've acquired, what you've collected. So collection, security, organization, management, development, pleasure. These are all key words for the succeeding houses. All right. So let's get into this. The second house is often associated with, hear very carefully, personal, listen carefully, movable wealth. Is not just your money house, a specific kind of money. It's movable. It's liquidated. All right. So not necessarily wealth per se, but money, movable. It's a very key point, especially if you want to look into traditional astrology, you want to look into talismans, you want to look into geomancy, then you want to be clear on that. The second house specifies not just acquisition and wealth, but what kind of wealth class? Movable wealth. Liquefiable, all right? Naturally, what we accumulate depends upon what we value. All right? The thing you have more of is normally because you value that thing more. All right? And the second house is concerned with what we value, including, here we go, this goes back to talking about those subjective, independent people, refers to not only value, but also ourselves and our self-value or our sense of self-worth. It concerns matters which we have earned. Hold on 1 second.
Can I quickly interject, brother?
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, obviously, there's in what actual houses the planets are and the actual signs they're in, I've got a very succedent-orientated chart because obviously I have Taurus in the 11th house with the moon in it, and then I have Scorpio in the 5th house with the sun in it, and loads of planets in the 5th house. So it's a very fixed, succedent chart I can see there.
Oh, yes.
And I want to say I remember my planets are, I got several in 4th and Taurus in 5th. I want to say I remember that.
Okay.
So, Jupiter is 8th house or something like that. Jupiter in 8th house.
So, we're talking about we're going to the succedent house. So who knows what the next succedent house is after the second house?
5th.
The 5th, that's right. All right. So the 5th house often refers to pleasures. All right. Which obviously are this is interesting. So it's not just pleasure like in some abstract sense of the word. These are a specific kind. Pleasures that are the result of some activity. You've done something. Okay. It is concerned with love and romance. Let me just make a little key point here. Romance, people get a lot of things confused about dating and stuff, all right? There are about 3 houses that deal with that whole love department. 5, 7, and 8. All right, I'm just taking a quick aside here. 5 is going to be the romance. All right, quote unquote, the dating, as it were. All right, 7th house is going to be the commitment. We are now one. We look at each other as they're an item. All right, and 8th is going to be the sex. A lot of people look in the 5th house, but actually it's in the 8th house.
Well, I guess I won't be getting any for a long time because
child.
Saturn is in my 8th house.
Oh, child, well.
Oh.
Take your talisman, baby. That's the best I can tell you.
Help, Lord.
So, all right, let's get to the 5th house. Like I said, pleasures that result from what?
Things you've done.
Right.
Creativity, expression.
Exactly. It's concerned with love and romance with all kinds of entertainment, including games, sports, gambling. All of that's in the 5th house. If you want to know about lottery and stuff like that, that's all 5th house. All right. It could also concerns children. Because think about it. Children are a pleasure that results from activity.
Right.
All right. In other words, it is the house of delightful things we have collected, either spiritually, mentally, physically, whether it's, pet ideas, delightful study, sports and games that delight us. And of course, our kids, our children. All right. What's the next succeeding house?
8th.
The 8th house. All right. Now, the 8th house, all right, refers to shared resources. Yeah, right. Remember, there's also another way to look at this, which is the model of axis.
Wait,
So
did we skip the 7th house of commitment?
We covered that in when we talked about angular. Remember, the 7th house is an angular house.
Oh, okay.
Right, angular house is the 1st, 4th, 7th, and 10th. We covered that. Now we're in the succeeding house. So we covered
2,
2nd
5,
house.
8, and 11. 2, 5, 8.
Right.
Okay, got it.
2, 5, 8, and 11. So if you look at this using the axis model, that they're not 12, they're just 6. They're just 2 ends of the same axis. Then the 2nd house is on the same axis as the 8th house.
Okay.
All right. So therefore, you have your resources movable. Then we have shared resources in the 8th,
Gotcha.
including legacy. So here would be your income, and this would be other people's income, which would include inheritances would be here. Also taxes too, because it ain't your money. It's somebody else's money. All right. But the 8th house, as I said before, is concerned with sex and also with recuperation. In other words, how quickly we bounce back from illness.
Disability payments.
Yep, that too. That would be it.
Yeah. Oh, we're not celebrating that.
It concerns health, other people's money. So this is why I said movable wealth. So the 8th house, so 2nd house is like cash, right? Money, okay? The 8th house is like credit cards, loans. That's 8th house stuff, all right? It is the things we have collected from other people. That's why it's also the house of debt. All right. 11th house. All right, the 11th house. So the 11th house refers to friends and groups. Again, what we have collected. All right. It is also concerned with hopes and wishes. Or in other words, what we want to, what we hope to, what we wish to collect. And thus, it is concerned with the future. All right. And so here are the values that we hold personally that we wish society would hold. To project that outward. All right. So we've got the angular houses. We've got the succeeding houses. What's left?
Cadent.
The Cadent houses. And what are the which are the Cadent houses?
3, 6, 9, 12.
3, 6, 9, and 12. All right. Cadent. All right. What does cadent sound like? How about musical people?
The
Something
cadence.
that comes to an end.
Cadence, yeah, obviously,
Right.
like the
Cadence,
rhythm.
right?
The
So
rhythm.
exactly. It means falling or coming to an end or to a resolution, right? There's a cadence, which is how a thing falls. We talk about it has a cadence to it. That means how the sound falls, how there's a rhythm to how it falls, right? So the cadent houses are as Justin said, the 3rd, the 6th, the 9th, and the 12th. So the key word for cadent is dispersal. All right. One meaning of dispersal is the giving out. All right. When a group of people separate, go their separate ways, we say they disperse. All right. Another way to express this is in the idea or the terms of reflection and consequences. All right. So we've taken action as some being. That's the angular. We gain security or gather together values or have succeeded or not succeeded. Okay. Now that's the succeeded houses. Now we reflect upon or we think seriously about the cycle of action and we deal with the consequences of it. All right. So in the cadent houses, we think about, again, what's gone before and what we will do or what will happen in the future. Here we do here's another key word for the cadent houses, our thinking. These are the thinking houses.
Mm-hmm.
Our thinking houses, all right? Before we take the next action. In the world, the cadent houses come at a time when the seasons of our life are changing from one to the other. If you think about how the mutable signs are.
It's like a transition period.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
All right. What I want to say here. So in the natal chart, we think that the past and the future in a more or less detailed, critical, impersonal way, all right, with the intention of using what we have learned to take our next steps in life. All right. Hold on one second, kid. Yeah, she is it. The 3rd house. Let's talk about the 3rd house. Remember, these are talking about thinking. The 3rd house is concerned with communication, which in one sense could mean we disperse, here we go again, our knowledge and experience to others. All right. After thinking about things, we go here and we go there and we share. Here, there, and share. That's what the 3rd house represents. There you go. Here, there, and share. All right. We share our knowledge and we also gain more knowledge. Now, mind you, very, very key point. This is not deep knowledge. All right. That's the 9th house. All right. We're not looking at truth. We're looking at facts. Not wisdom, but knowledge. Not revelation, but what?
Information.
She got it. It's all over her. Information. All right. So here we see that literature and verbal communication are very heavily stressed in the 3rd house. All right. Now let's look at the 6th house. All right. The 6th house is the house of service. We're looking at traditional astrology is talking about the house of your servants too, which would be anybody that served you. That could be your barber, anybody who is extending a service to you. Would be significated, we call it, in the 6th house. But I digress. All right. This is the house of service. This is where we willingly, Here we go again. Disperse or give our personal resources and our skills to help other people. All right. We think seriously. It's also called the house of work too. We think seriously about matters of work. Mind you, 10th house is career, but 6th house is work. What I mean, routines, actual like work as in activity. All right. Health. Okay. 8th house, we already said, shows the recovery of illness. 1st house is going to show vitality, but the 6th house is going to talk about the health, the physical health of the body. All right, diseases and so forth, sickness, things of that nature. All right, and so we think about routine, we think about health, we think about work, and as a result, we share this knowledge mostly in the sense of doing things for other people. We share it by doing.
You say share, care, and what?
Share, care. Well, what I said was, I said here, there, and share is what I said.
Okay, here, there, and share.
All right. 9th house. 9th house concerns philosophy. This is the again, remember, it's an axis. All right. This is 3rd, this is 9th. They're axis. All right. So here is facts and here is truth. All right. 3rd house is information, 9th house is revelation. 3rd house is knowledge, 9th house is wisdom. The 9th house concerns philosophy and higher learning. All right. Where we give our time and our effort to expand our potential. Here we think deeply, very deeply. Not broadly, which is the third house, but deeply. We're not going wide, we're going deep about things. And we also travel distances in the 9th house, long distances in order to gain knowledge. The 3rd house is travel also, but it's short distance. You say, well, how short is short, Doc? That's kind of relative. It's kind of subjective. You know, what I call it short, you might not call it short. Well, in traditional astrology, they were very specific. They said that it was under 200 miles in the 3rd house and over 200 miles in the 9th house. That's quite specific. Pretty much, if you move outside of your state, it's pretty much 9th house stuff. Now, the 12th house. All right. The mysterious 12th house. I think it's safe to say, in all the years of astrology, we still don't know what the hell the 12th house is, to be honest.
Hidden enemies, isn't it? And lawsuits and stuff like that, as far as I'm aware.
Yeah, that you can find that in the 12th house. Certainly you can. But what the house itself stands as a pillar of, you know, people have varying opinions. But the 12th house is best, really kind of going to itself when you think about it, but think about this as the house of non-self. It's probably the most indicative place of the chart that's not about you. All right. What I mean by that is, it's concerned with large, here's another word for you, impersonal. Here's another word for you, institutions. All right. The 12th house is about large, impersonal, and institutions such as hospitals, prisons, bureaucracies, civil service. All right. That is areas where they claim to serve rather than seek a profit. Because the 12th house is opposite what?
6.
The 6th house, which is selfish service, right? I'm gonna serve you because, child, I'm getting paid. You know, you better, you know, sit right there and not pay me. You want to. All right. But the 12th house is about unselfish service. So they don't get that they don't. It's for serving for the sake of serving, not for the sake of profit. All right. This also speaks to hidden matters. What do I mean? Because sometimes this is because the good, as we all know, is not publicized. You know, selfless service, modesty, that's not publicized. And sometimes because the bad is also concealed in the 12th house. All right. So it reveals hidden things, modest things. All right. It also refers to hidden matters which are being uncovered. Now, for y'all over there who's shaking in your boots, don't sweat. All right. We're not about to find you out yet. It can also mean hidden matters being uncovered, such as research in science. So that it's the place of research, uncovering what is hidden. So in other words, the 12th house refers to activities, here's another phrase for you, activities behind the scene, good or bad. And think of it. The 12th house is right next to the first house, right? So if you think about the second house as what you have at hand, if you think about your right hand, if you're right-handed, then the 12th house, just follow me on this, will be positioned behind your left shoulder. Think about that for a second. The 12th house is those things outside your peripheral. That's why, remember, it's called the house of hidden enemies. Because you can't see them jokers. You got to keep an eye on them, you know. Keep it, what did they say? Keep your friends close.
The enemy's closer.
And the enemy's closer. All right. So, what I want to say. So anyone who reviews their life is likely to think of things that they did not do, which they wish that they had done, or things that they did do that they wish that they what? Hadn't done. All right. So this can also result in things like sorrow, another key word of this house, shame, another key word of this house, guilt, another key word of this house. But in the same token, it can also be the result of what? Pride and satisfaction. When we think about the good things that we did do or the temptations that we didn't do. So the 12th house, again, is opposite the 6th house, which deals with health, right? So there's also going to have that same axis here. So the 12th house also speaks about health, but not in the sense of your personal health, but in the sense of it as a profession. So, like I said before, hospitals are here, all right? And also how we deal with illness. So there you go again. First house, vitality. 6th house, personal health. 8th house, how, you know, recuperation, how you're going to recover. How fast you're going to recover, how you're going to bounce back. And then 12th house, how do you deal with illness? All right. So so it's also the house of meditation, which again is impersonal. All right. Self-sacrifice, selflessness. Charity, which is what? Selfless giving. As I mentioned before, it's also the area of secret enemies, which can lead. So, secret enemies. Sometimes the enemy is so secret, guess what? It's you. Sometimes the greatest enemy is the inner me. That'll preach. So they talk about it's the house of self-undoing and the house of secret enemies, because the two may be often one and the same. The secret enemy could be you undoing yourself. Now we call in the modern age, we call it self-sabotage. That's the 12th house. All right. There it is, folks.
Thank you, brother.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Well, look at it. I think my team is all the wiser now.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. Even me, obviously, I've looked into birth charts and stuff, and I knew a lot of what you was talking about, but I've learned loads of new things today. So thank you, brother.
My pleasure. I enjoy it. And man, we gotta do this more often, man. We gotta get that show cracking.
Cool, man.
I enjoyed this, Doc. This was good.
Yes.
Wonderful. Wonderful. If you haven't had the chance to get a full astrological diagnostic, you need to get one from me. It's an hour, 30 minutes, and we go into the nitty and the gritty. Or they say it in London, the bits and the bobs. And we get stuff on a granular level of accuracy. So that being said, I'm going to head out. I've got a client right behind this. So I'm going to head and prepare for that, and I will catch y'all on the flip side.
Brother, are you going to have the video to this?
Yes.
Would you mind if I put this up on my channel?
Not at all. I'm going to put it up on mine.
Cool.
All right.
No problem, brother. Take care. Nice to meet you guys as well, Justin. And sorry, what was your name, sister?
Tarolynn.
Tarolynn. Nice to meet you, sister. And nice to meet you, brother.
Nice to meet you too, sir.
You guys have a good one.
All right.
All right then.
Peace out.
Peace.